Good evening, everybody. Monday Morning Quarterback, episode 125. Coming at you live from home. It is a winter wonderland outside, and we let some of our guys and gals go home early today because of the treacherous driving conditions. I'm fortunate I only live a few miles from the shop, and so I hung around till 6 answering the phone. UPS didn't pick up this afternoon because of the weather. But when I did come home about 6:30, the roads were getting pretty bad. So rather than venturing back out, figure we just go old school, do it live here from home. Let me see if I can get it pulled up where we can see your questions. Feel free to fire away at your questions. I'm pulling them up here on my phone. And tonight's topic was all planned out at the shop with the fancy thing. So one of the things we'll do next week, weather should be a lot better next week, is we are going to do a topic on testing and practicing and setting a test or a practice plan, and how, I think I can just see your guys' comments here, and how a test or practice plan would best work at the racetrack, how we've done that at some of the higher levels of racing I've done, whether it be IndyCar or NASCAR, and what we try to accomplish at a test, and then how we go about testing and trying the things that we want to try. So got it up on my phone now so I can answer your questions. So that will be our topic next week when we're back at the shop live, is to kind of outlay what a testing plan looks like. So I'll share a testing plan on the screen, just to try to get the most out of the day of your practice, because we're getting to the time of year. The tracks are having play days, and we're getting our maybe one and only chance for the season to get to go out and practice and try some new things that we maybe bolted on the race car over the off season, and what is the best way to go about that for dirt racing and asphalt, because that definitely looks a little bit different depending on what type of racing you're doing. So we'll cover that next week. This week is impromptu because we are kind of snowed in here at the house, and so I'm here to answer all of your questions. A couple cool things coming from Pit Logic soon is a more simplified subscription platform, an annual subscription option. So I think you guys are going to be really excited about that. Kevin has been working hard getting all of that packaged up nicely. So that's coming here in the next couple of weeks from Pit Logic. And CSI, we released kind of all of our new products late last year, and we're getting those on the track and seeing a lot of success. The USAC sprint car races had a handful of customers down there with the XT shock. They all ran up front and were really, really good. Won the first night with KT, and thought we were going to win the second night there with Jake Swanson. He ran a really good race, led 25 or so of the 30 laps, and slipped up there. Track was pretty fast around the bottom, and he just missed the bottom one corner. But overall, great start to the USAC season for our customers and that are using the new XT shock. So got that going for us to kick off the season, as well as some other new products. We just put on the website today a new quarter midget spring spacer. So if you're running the short 3.5-inch eye box, or another spring that's under 4 inches, this spacer will help get your ride height adjuster kind of back in the middle of the body, and allow you to get your car raised up for these cold conditions early in the year, and then if you're dirt track racing. So those are a few things we have working. So go ahead and fire away with questions. Here to answer any tech questions you have. I don't see any questions so far other than people jumping in. So happy to answer any questions you have, shock related, torsion bar, spring, pit logic. We'll get all that stuff answered. Also, let us know what you think of the people behind the product segment that we've been posting once a week, and let us know if that's something you enjoy and you want to see more of, because we are trying to film more and more stuff. So the second episode dropped today. If you missed it, if you haven't seen either of them, they're getting posted to our YouTube page, but they're also here on our Facebook page. And it's just a cool behind-the-scenes look of what we do here every day at CSI and what some of the members of our team do and how they got started in the sport. So, John Hunt question is, how do left side shocks affect weight transfer to the right side? So that's a great question. This is a quarter midget specific question, but the principle weighs true on most any application. And so we've often referred to shocks as a timing device. So the spring is going to hold the car up, or the torsion bar is going to hold the car up, but the shock absorber, depending on the amount of compression dampening, which compression is compressing the shock, or rebound, which is extension, depending on how much compression or rebound dampening we have, it's going to allow the shock to move in a certain direction at a certain speed and a certain time on the track in the corner. So for example, as you take rebound out of the left side, it is going to roll to the right quicker. So if you decrease left side rebound, the chassis will roll to the right at a faster rate. Okay, so on a quarter midget, when the track is losing grip, we would take rebound out of the left side to transfer weight to the right side and stick those ever important right side tires. When we get in an instance of racing heavy classes, higher grip tracks, that's when you would add rebound to the left side to delay that weight transfer to the right, to keep from getting the race car too stuck. Todd, gas pressure adjustment versus a valving change for a double adjustable non-wing shock on the right rear. So we typically use gas pressure adjustment versus valving change in two different ways. So the gas pressure adjustment we're going to change depending if the track is really rough, we'll increase gas pressure. As the track slows down, we will decrease gas pressure. Valving change, you would do similar, but the gas pressure is a much finer adjustment than a valving change. So typically we're going to adjust the valving all night. We're only going to make a gas pressure adjustment once or twice a night, because adjusting your gas pressure by 10 pounds isn't a very large change. Where adjusting your dampening by 10 pounds, you're going to feel a lot more. So gas pressure just isn't as powerful as a change as the valving would be. Brandon Emmett, top wing angle. When to slide the wing back versus putting more angle in the wing. So that's another great question. I always like to, when the track was going to slick off, and I knew I was going to have to get the wing back throughout the course of the race. If you have an onboard wing slider, and I knew I'm going to have to get that wing back throughout the course of the race, I would raise it up a little bit and slide it back to start. So where I was going with that is, if you just slide it back, most wing sliders, it's going to get the wing really far up into the air. And when you get the thing really far up in the air, you cause more downforce, but obviously a lot more drag. So there's a balance there where you're wanting downforce, but then you're also wanting to position the wing at a certain point on the car. So if you just leave it all the way forward and you stand it straight up, you're going to get downforce, but the center of pressure on that wing is not over the rear tires, where you're going to need it over the rear tires to have max downforce. Now if you get it back too far and that center of pressure gets too far back on the car, you're going to have a lot of downforce over the rear tires, but the car's not going to want to steer. So it's a balancing act there of getting it back far enough where you have good downforce over the center of the rear tires, but not so far in the air that you create a lot of drag and slow your straightaway speed. Yep, that was a 305 would be something, Brandon, where you got to be really careful not to get it standing too high in the air because you'll slow that thing down. So your instance, you're probably better suited to get it back a little bit farther rather than standing it straight up in the air. So if you measure your angle and say you're starting at 25 degrees, slide the thing back some, but lower it back down to 25 degrees. So if you have to go farther back, you're not just getting it way up in the air. Now I know with the 305 you're not allowed an onboard adjustment, so you kind of got to pick your spot and roll with it. But I'd be careful to get it too far up into the air. Good questions. Anybody else have any questions? Fire away. Again, this was impromptu, snowed in. We haven't had this much snow in Indiana in a long, long time. And of course, we're right in the middle of building this building, which isn't ideal for for the amount of snow we're getting. But they're hoping to get concrete poured early next week, and then they'll be inside doing build out. So hopefully this doesn't slow us down very much at all. Mark, what kind of range for gas pressure? Is there too much and too low of a pressure? Great question. I know Mark has a X2 right rear on a mini sprint. And so, Mark, your operating range for a guy your size, you're probably going to be a max pressure of 80 pounds when the track gets really, really rough. And you're probably never going to go below 20. If you go below that on that style of shock and you have too much compression in it, or I shouldn't say too much, but you have the compression adjuster pretty closed, you'll get some cavitation. So you're never going to be below 20. I'd say you're typically going to start in the 50 to 60 pound range, and you could go up from there if the track was a little bit rougher on a given night. Eric, what effect does kingpin inclination have? Some axles are 10 degrees, some are 9.5. A half a degree of kingpin inclination, I don't think you're really going to feel the difference on a dirt car. I could be wrong, but there used to be 5, 10, and 12 were kind of the three main options, and everybody kind of settled on 10. I haven't seen too many 9.5s, but I don't think you're going to see too big. From 10 to 12, it was hard for guys to see, so I don't think you're going to see that big with a half a degree. Tyler, when the track slows down, going softer on spring rate. So softer to a certain extent will help get more roll, but if you get too soft, you won't have any bar rate to load the tire adequately. And we've done a whole segment on that. I'll try to find the episode number and let you know. So, all right. Well, we appreciate you guys tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the show. Please like and share it for your friends. And if you haven't caught the People Behind the Products episode, please tune into those. They are a good laugh. Hope you guys have a great week and stay warm wherever you are. Take care.